Alright you lot, welcome back. Something a little bit different today. See, I have been planning a new D&D campaign, and part of that campaign is that it's very sort of Fae heavy, it's very Fae centric. We're talking things like weird and grim fairies, witches, all sorts of mythical woodland beings. It's kind of like, there's a lot of like Celtic and Anglo-Saxon mythology has gone into it, but also like Grimm's Tale style shenanigans. And with all of that in mind, I've kind of been looking for something very different to what I would normally paint and put into a campaign, because it feels like something I've never done in D&D before. So, I've been on the hunt for a bit of whimsy. Just a little bit of whimsy. See, I've got a couple of whimsical models, but not that many, and I wanted a few more to fill out some encounters for this new campaign. And then I remembered something that I've never properly checked out before. I've heard of it, I've taken a glance here and there, but I've never really gone through to, like, grab something to get started. Moonstone. Moonstone is something that you guys have also put me onto several times, but I've just never got around to properly taking a look. And immediately, when I was thinking, well, I want something a bit whimsical, something a bit different to my usual style, this feels like it is probably going to fit the bill. So I'm just going to take a quick look at a few things and try and decide what it is that I want to grab. And we will no doubt narrow it down, but then probably you will have to give me a hand. Because let's be honest, I'm going to get paralysed with indecision because I will most likely see a bunch of stuff that I really want, and the easiest way to get around that is to have someone else make the decision for you, which is where you come in. I am fully aware, by the way, that getting a 2-player starter set is probably the best way to get into Moonstone as a game, but on the surface right now what I'm looking for is the miniature side of things as opposed to the game side of things, although I have heard very good things. So I will get to that side of it at some point, but okay, I mean, a quick scroll down and immediately I'm seeing a box of 3 witches. And let's be honest, if you're doing a sort of traditional fantasy sort of thing but also adding in a bit of that sort of fairy tale nonsense, you kind of gotta have witches. So we're gonna open them in another tab just so that they're safe, just so we know they're there, and keep going down. Now there's not a lot in the way of things like armour. Iron and steel and stuff is not really a thing in this world. It used to be, but it's all been taken away. So, like, fully armed lads in big suits of armour, incredibly rare. So for things like the administration of justice, just glancing at that, not the best fit, but ooh, that's a cool frost giant. That is a cool... Oh, we'll come back to that. We'll come back to that. Let's stick with the whimsy for now. But that is super interesting. I do like the look of it. A big box of fairies. Like that a lot. We're going to have to open blood magic in another tab as well. But, I'm sorry. Boris the Bunny Summoner. Boris the Bunny Summoner? It's the first of many derailings, which I'm sure will happen. I'm going to try and make this video not 18 hours long. I'm going to try and keep it relatively short, because there's so much here that I want to dive into it properly, but how do we not look at Boris the Bunny Summoner? In fact, we're going to go straight into Boris the Bunny Summoner, because I need my glasses on here. I need to be able to see this. That, on the surface of it, looks incredible. The bunnies look cute, except for that middle one, who looks absolutely mental. What is going on there? Like, that is a deranged looking rabbit. The guy himself, the expression is class. I love that a lot. I just want to say, by the way, the bases on all of these miniatures, as we've been scrolling down, are absolutely top-notch. Absolutely love the bases on these. I mean, Boris is already up there for both whimsy and menace, so I'm liking that a lot. I mean, the expression is killing me. I do like the overall design. It is very cool. The horns, the fact one of them is really twisted round, the other one's a bit straighter, that's a nice touch. And the goat legs there, it looks really good. Yeah, that rabbit that is standing with one leg sort of over the other, but is doing like a sort of pouncing motion, that is creepy as anything. And I do like the clarification here, specifically says 3 murder bunny miniatures. These aren't your regular bunnies, these are murder bunnies, and don't you forget it. Alright, at a glance, I mean, Boris is staying on the list because Boris is class. Let's keep going down and see if any others strike the old whimsy bone. I mean, to be fair, they sort of all are. They all are. They are very whimsical. But at the same time, there's some creepy stuff going on here. I think Brunhild the Giant might be singing a song as she walks, which is pretty cool. What is happening with the charge of the Friar Brigade? What is that? Okay, we're not getting distracted with that. Dark Deeds, more fairies? More fairies. I'm going to open the thing for more fairies, just in case. We'll keep going. That is an extremely, I'm assuming, orc or goblin in a full suit of armour. I do love the wig on that guy, but again, that doesn't really fit the tone of what I'm going for. Ooh, Eric the Enlightened. That's not a real name. The Enlightened, we're going to have a look at him as well. I realise that the list of things to have a look at is just getting bigger and bigger. That is a full-on jester right there on Freaky Fog Day. What a name. I love the Goblin Airship. That is brilliant. Doesn't work for my world because he's got a gun. There's no guns. But I just want to point that out. That's very cool. I don't need any more tree men. I've got a lot of tree men, so Gump isn't in the running, but Gump has got quite the expression on his face. The Jackalope is tempting, but we shall refrain from the Jackalope for now. I've actually got a bunch of Beastmen and stuff, so the Hunting Horns on the surface do look cool, but their role's already kind of been filled. Same with Noel the Troll, although Noel the Troll's little antlers are very fun, and the little mushrooms, those are also excellent. The Malikite Mystics are interesting. Those look kind of cool. There's a big old, hairdo covered in flowers there. That feels very appropriate. Oh, and wings, of course. Yeah, I like that. All right, let's keep going. Nanny. Nanny? What is happening there? All right, there's going to be another list at some point, because Nanny is creepy as hell. What is going on with Nanny? There's some really, really fun sculpts in here. This just, it feels very fun, but it also feels very dark and very creepy at the same time. Very, very fun. Is that a fairy with a flintlock? Is that what that is? We're going to have a quick look. I think that's what that is. Is it? That is cool. Commodore Delahaye? Now that is a very fun way to do a sort of ghostly miniature. Love that. I'm not even going to ask. Yes, no, that is absolutely a fairy with a flintlock. Great idea. Love that. 10 out of 10. Just the concept. Love it. Okay, the Malikite Mystics. Let's start here. We've got a few to take a quick look at, and then we'll decide what it is that we want. Or at least you will decide via the comments, most likely. I don't know whether you can attach a poll to a video. I'll find out. But straight off the bat, I really like this. The hair in the background, I'm assuming it's a hair, looks kind of hair-like. There's definitely some hair attitude going on. The long legs and the fur, the ears. That's a very cool sculpt and pose. I really like that. Looks really, really good. The fairy, I think, is it Reagan? The Lechervault Priestess miniature. There's going to be so much actual story for this that at some point I'm going to have to take a look at as well. The hair looks fantastic. I really like the use of flowers. That's just a very cool idea, and I think they've implemented it super, super well. The wings being butterfly wings, I like that a lot. The only one I'm not sure about is the sort of Goatman lad there. I'm not quite sure on that one. The other two I really like, but the Goatman lad, I'm not fully on board. Okay, so that's Klaus. Okay, I'm not sure I'm fully on board with Klaus. Doesn't look bad. Also, definitely not a goat. Definitely not a goat. More a sort of cow-like figure. It's just not quite hitting me, that one. But okay, so that's Reagan. Reagan I really like. Reagan looks phenomenal. It's a very, very fun pose. Very cool sculpt. Loads of attitude coming off that one. Like that a lot. There is still a bit of whimsy, but it's definitely on the darker side of whimsy for me. And Gwendolyn, I do like that sculpt a lot. The fact that also, now I'm seeing the back, it's a mix of tree and hair. There's a kind of binding there. That's very cool. That is very cool. I do like that. Maybe I'm going to have to see if they do single miniatures. I don't actually know if they do, but that might be worth a look, seeing if they do ones that's just the one-off. Because there might be one or two that even if the box doesn't go in the basket, one or two out of the box do. Might have to see what the deal is there. But you know what? Gwendolyn and Reagan, really like both of those. Reagan is properly menacing. That is a point in her favour. Like that a lot. Okay, let's go on to Eric the Enlightened, because he looks solid. I would actually argue maybe he's too serious to fulfill my criteria of a bit of whimsy. Like, that is just a noble, bold, sort of elven warrior sculpt. Whether he's an elf or not, that's the vibe it's giving. I really like the big old moose mount. That is a moose, right? It looks more moose than anything else. That's very cool. The overall posing, I really like. The spear looks fantastic. I'm a sucker for a helmet with antlers. I just am. It always looks good, without fail. It's always good. And the fact that it kind of mirrors the antlers on the mount as well, that's a point in his favour, right? That is definitely a point in his favour. He does look good. He does look good, but if I'm going by my own criteria... Oh, the shield, though. The shield has got a face on it. That's a very cool shield. I like the shield. He's definitely not as whimsical. Definitely not as whimsical as some of the stuff that I've seen before, which was sort of the main criteria for looking at Moonstone. Alright, Dark Deeds. What have we got for Dark Deeds? So we've got Iris, we've got a Banshee, and Denture. Okay. Now, the Denture miniature is horrendous. Like, that is, I don't know why, it feels really dark. Flying around carrying a big pair of pliers with a tooth still in the pliers? Good grief. That weirdly just feels uncomfortable. I really like it, but wow. The Banshee looks fantastic. I like the Banshee a lot. Iris, oh, and Hellbore, sorry, I see. So it's a double on one base. Again, the bases are so good. Like, look at that picture and tell me that it doesn't basically look like mini dioramas in each time. For someone who really doesn't enjoy basing all that much, like, I've got into it a lot more, but it's still not my favourite thing to do when it comes to finishing a miniature. These are goals. These bases are genuinely... I would love to have the patience to sit and make bases like these. I think I might have to, having seen these. I'm becoming acutely aware as to just how kind of shit a lot of my basing is now compared to this. And yeah, I might have to do something about it after this. So for Iris and Hellbore, they look really good. I do like the butterfly wings. They're nice. They're sort of cute, they're fun, but then you've also got quite serious warriors attached to it by the look of things. Also, I like the sort of Hela-style helmet off Iris there. Does look decent. I like that a lot. The Banshee looks class. Really like the sort of corrupted version of those butterfly wings. That is a very cool touch. And also having the cloak go up and over the arms. That's always a classic look. I like that. Denture is flat out disturbing. Like, I'm sorry, but it just is. You don't get to carry around a tooth like that and not be a bit disturbing. But there is a fun element to it. Like, it is creepy, but it is also kind of fun, if we're being honest here. So, ooh, okay. I think, in terms of, like, full boxes, Dark Deeds, I can see myself getting a lot of use out of. Malikite Mystics, one of the three just wasn't quite to my taste. We've already taken a look at Boris the Bunny Summoner. Like, genuinely, I think this is a must-buy, but this is something that I've already got an idea for that I can use later on. I'm not in any rush to get Boris, but I probably will end up with Boris, just not right now, because I've had an idea for a fun little quest / arc that's largely about the wildlife going absolutely rabid and biting the shit out of people and having to find out why. And I think Boris is why, frankly. So, yeah, Boris I'll hold off on, but he's going to end up joining the stack at some point. Just later on. That's all. Just later on. Now, we've also got Blood Magic as well. So we've got another sort of fairy pack. One of them seems to be wearing some sort of, like, a foxglove. Is it a foxglove? Oh, hang on. Foxglove miniature and stat card. That seems like that's probably what that is then, doesn't it? These are fun. I like the way they've been mounted. The sort of tree stump sort of hanging off it. The wings are fantastic. I really like the combo here. So we've got your more kind of classic butterfly wing sort of thing, but then we've got something that's a bit more fly-like, a bit more leaf-like off one of them. Got a sort of mix on the other. I like the contrast there. That's very neat. This is a good trio. And I think there is still that sort of fun but creepy whimsy element going on, because we have this sort of mix of what looks like just flat out warrior, but then also one of them's got a foxglove for a head, or a hat, either way. Diana looks really good, the sculpt's cool, the mask with the horns, that's a very nice touch. Also having that staff with the sort of weird mask on the end of it, again, I like that a lot, that's a cool touch. Foxglove is so much weirder than I thought. Foxglove is way weirder than I thought. I hadn't really twigged the face. The long nose, the sort of pointy grown chin, the pose is mental. Like sort of dashing forwards, both feet out. You see the claws, but also the pads. That's mad. Also, the coat. I didn't even twig really what was going on clothing-wise on Foxglove, but the coat with the patches, that's just neat. That's just neat is what that is. Also, it looks like we've got a proper magic wand there, so that's fun. And then Belladonna looks great as well. I like the poison aspect. The vial there with the liquid dripping out is a very nice touch. Very different sort of shape to the other two, which is neat. The fact that you've got these two wings, but then just this middle one floating around as well. Ooh, this is a good box. This is a very good box. I like this box a lot. I'm not even sure how I missed the face on Foxglove the first time, but I did. And yeah, that is wow. Okay, I have to say, this is the sort of thing I was thinking I'd see. Finally, we've got a witch in time, and that is such a combination right there. So we've got the traditional cauldron, but it's on the back of one of them. Feels like the three sort of stages of witch. You've got the younger witch, you've got the older witch, and then you've got the much, much older witch. So we've got Antonia the Noonday Witch, Zoya the Dawn Witch, and Danica the Dusk Witch. Okay, so she's Noonday. That expression, that face, the painted version makes it look so much more friendly than the sculpt does. That could be painted creepy as hell if you wanted it to be. I really do like the clothing. The clothing looks great. The sort of sack and the satchel that's coming down looks awesome. The cauldron is very cool as well. Also, just a little thing, the little neckerchief there. Just that little neckerchief. That's fun. It's good. Zoya has a proper evil expression. Also, the pose is full of sass, which, depending on the context, I feel like there's a bit of whimsy and a bit of sass. I'm also probably reading far too much into this, but with Antonia, with all the reagents and the cauldron, it feels like that is the sort of source of the magic. It's a very sort of herbal / nature-based natural kind of remedy style witch. But then Zoya, you've just got a little pouch and a load of attitude, which makes me think more sort of personality-based magic. And Danica, I'm assuming, just curses the absolute living shit out of people. That's my guess. That's what I'd assume. I mean, look at her. What else would you assume from that? Thing is, it's not difficult to write witch-based storylines and stuff for D&D, but I think it's quite hard to do ones that are a little bit different or a little bit, not completely trope-filled. Then again, going a bit tropey now and again is not necessarily a bad thing. I think it's less about the idea and more about the execution, and I feel like, at the very least, you could pull some absolute bait-and-switch shenanigans here. You really could. Okay, so before we end off, here is what I put up so that we could have a little look at them and see maybe what direction to go in, because you are going to have to help me choose. Because, frankly, A Witch in Time, I really like this. This is very cool, this is very fun, and I think at some point I would like to grab it. It's whether I got this box earlier on and introduced this lot earlier, or alternatively we also have blood magic, and I think all three of these sculpts are fantastic. They're a little bit weird, they're a little bit creepy, there's also a bit of attitude in there as well. I think they are still quite whimsical. Boris the Bunny Summoner, as I say, I mean, he's going to show up, so really ignore Boris. Boris is off the table because Boris is very much on the table, just not straight away. Then we've got Dark Deeds. I really like Dark Deeds as well. I think Blood Magic, A Witch in Time, and Dark Deeds are kind of tied. They are kind of tied for me. There are elements of all of them that I really, really like. Dark Deeds, I will say, I am sort of swayed a bit towards by just the sheer existence of denture. Like It's such a horrible but fun idea. And it's creepy, and it's weird, but it is also kind of funny, and it's sort of, it's hitting a spot that I don't think blood magic quite is, but the problem is, with blood magic, I really, really like Foxglove, and just the whole approach to that miniature, so that's confusing things a little bit, but Dark Deeds is really good. Eric, I do really like. Eric is very, very fun, but I think he's not the whimsy I'm looking for right now. Then we've got the Malikite Mystics, and I do like the Malikite Mystics a lot. It does help that Reagan is just like aura farming in the back there. I mean, that's doing a lot. Also, the fact that they've done the OSL from the crystal and stuff up there is really adding to the menace, which I really like. The only one I'm not sure on is Klaus. Klaus I'm not sure on, but that being said, there is a variety in Malikite Mystics. And while I might not be the biggest fan of Klaus, I absolutely love the other two. I really love the other two. And there is a separation here that you're not getting from Dark Deeds, or from Blood Magic, or from A Witch in Time. Malikite Mystics, there's more variety in there than in the others. I don't know. I'm not sure. I want one of them, but I'm not sure which one, which is why I've come to you. So, effectively, I've taken the decision-making process out of my hands for the end of this video, and instead, just comment the one that you like the most, and essentially, you know what? I'm not going to do this every time I come across something and not sure whether to, like, what to get from it. But if you were to grab one of these boxes, what would you use it for in the context of, like, making your own sort of quest or arc or storyline about it? Like, what do you immediately think, I would do this, when you saw each of those? I'd be super interested to know. I'm not going to nick any of it. That's not true. I might nick some of it. But if I do, I'll let you know. But yeah, let me know what you think of those in the comments. Which one is like resonating with you most, and hopefully we might come to some form of small consensus, or we might not, and I will just end up right back at square one. We'll see what happens. Either way, I just wanted to have a bit of a whimsical time, and I did, and hopefully you did as well. So thank you very much for watching. Let me know what you thought, and I will see you for the next one.